Public Act number 10954 entitled Dividing Barangay Magugpo in Tagum, Davao del Norte into Barangay Magugpo Poblacion, Barangay Magugpo East, Barangay Magugpo West, Barangay Magugpo North, and Barangay Magugpo South. Republic Act number 10955 entitled Dividing Barangay Dumalneg in Ilocos Norte into Barangay Calao, Barangay Cabaritan, and Barangay Quibel. Republic Act number 10956 entitled Creating a Barangay to be known as Barangay Care in Tarlac. Republic Act number 10957 entitled Creating a Barangay to be known as Barangay Liwon in Asipulo, Ifugao. And Republic Act number 10958 entitled Dividing Barangay Kanumay in Valenzuela into Barangay Kanumay West and Barangay Kanumay East.
To the archives.
Letters from the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas transmitting to the Senate copies of the following certified and authenticated BSP issuances in compliance with Section 15A of Republic Act number 7653, circular letters numbers CL-2017-055, 056, 057, 058, 059, 060, 061, 062, 063, 064, 065, and 066 dated 20, 22, 15, 28, 29 September 2017, 2, 9, 20 October 2017, and 3 November 2017. Circular numbers 974, 975, 976, 977, 978, and 980 dated 29 September 2017, 10, 27 October 2017, and 6 November 2017, and memorandum numbers M-2017-030, 031, 032, 033, 034, and 035 dated 2, 4, 11, 13, 20 October 2017, and 6 November 2017.
Referred to the Committee on Banks, Financial Institutions, and Currencies. Majority Leader.
Mr. President, with the consent of the body, I move to resume consideration of Senate Bill 1592 under Committee Report 164.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. President, this is the Tax Reform for Acceleration and Inclusion Bill, the TRAIN as we call it. The parliamentary status of the measure is that we have already terminated the period of interpellations. So I move that we open the period of amendments, Mr. President.
Is there any objection?
Therefore, I move to open the period of individual amendments.
Any objection? None. So we clarify that we are in the period for individual amendment.
Mr. President, with the consent of the body, and after consulting the Senate President, the Minority Leader as well, and the President Pro Tem, the procedure that your Majority Leader would like to pursue would be for us to open the period of individual amendments and call on the sponsor of the measure to introduce his individual amendments. And that is no other than, of course, Senator Sani Angara. Thereafter, we will, if it is very extensive, we will need to have a clean copy. Now, with or without a clean copy, as we will decide later, the procedure that we would like to follow would be for the body to amend the bill and to introduce individual amendments by section. And of course, we will start on page 1. And therefore, we will acknowledge whoever has any amendments per section. And we will start from section 1, of course. With that, Mr. President, I move that we recognize the chairman of the Committee on Ways and Means, Senator Sari Angara, to introduce his individual amendments.
Senator Angara is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Majority Leader, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. We have a number of amendments to the committee report. The first, Mr. President, pertains to the income tax for compensation income earners in response to the amendments proposed by the good Senate President, the presiding officer, Senate President Pro Temp, Senator Recto, Senators Gatchalian, Ejercito, and Villanueva, which they've all moved to have, in certain ways, to have the personal exemption increased from 150,000. So in response to that, Mr. President, we are adopting a 3-tier schedule where on the 3rd year we move to the full 250,000 exemption, which is that proposed by the department as well as by the House. So without further ado, Mr. President, the first amendment is on page 8. I move that we delete lines 1 to 13, and in lieu thereof, to insert the following schedule, if we could show it on the screen for our members' perusal, Mr. President, and if it's not ready, then we can suspend for a few minutes.
Session is suspended. Prepare the screen. Wala pa. Sa kanila. Kaya pala. Are we ready, Senator Angara? Is that the correct?
I think some of the members are commenting on the size of the font, Mr. President, and this representation also, they want it shrunk, Mr. President. No, but I think maybe the controller of the screen could zoom in on the right side of the screen, because that is the proposed amendment, Mr.
On the
President.
amendments, because
yes.
we have a
because we have copies anyway.
Yes.
We've been furnished copies of the committee report already. You can zoom in on the right side. And we'll also furnish hard copies to the senators, Mr. President.
We're still suspended anyway, so can you fix it, please? Amendments.
Senator Dick.
Is that okay?
Mr. President, if the members have copies, then I think we can start.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so session is resumed.
Thank you, Mr. President. The first amendment is on page 8. I move that we delete lines 1 to 13 and in lieu thereof insert the three-tier or three-year schedule that is shown on the screen for the perusal of our members, and copies have also been distributed. Basically, it maintains the 150,000 personal exemption for the first year beginning January 1, 2018. But one amendment is to include the 35% top rate, which will kick in for net taxable income over 8 million, Mr. President. This inclusion of a higher tax rate was also made by some of our members. Then on the second year, 2019, the exemption goes to 200,000, and on the third year in 2020, it goes to the full 250,000, Mr. President. I so move.
Any objection? Yes, Senator Recto is recognized.
Clarification, Mr. President. The proposal of the gentleman is that on the year 2020, that is the only time that the exemption will be up to 250,000. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mr. President. And thereafter.
Thereafter.
Yes.
The proposal of the DOF is that on the first year, on January 1, 2018, all those below 250 is exempt. Is that correct?
Yes, for the DOF proposal, it's implementable right away. In the House, they modified it a little bit. They have a 2-tier, and ours is a 3-year acceleration.
Now,
Mr.
my
President.
understanding is that in the House, which is similar to the DOF, that by 2020, those above 250,000, which will have a rate of 20%, will still go down to 15.
Yes, Mr. President.
Right?
Yes.
So the statement earlier is not entirely accurate, but I don't fault the chairman for that. Now, what happens, Mr. President, if we accept this amendment, and my proposed amendment later on will be immediately, January 1, 2018, 250 na ang exempted.
We can tackle it at the proper time, Mr. President. Yeah.
Procedurally, is this correct, Mr. President? In effect, my proposal is to accept the DOF proposal. That gives a bigger tax breaks to individuals in the first year of implementation.
We can tackle it when the gentleman's time to make the amendments, Mr. President.
Mr. President,
Majority Leader.
if the well, it somehow defeats the procedure that we were talking about earlier, but if it will shorten the proceedings, it's okay. But just a small question before I ask the minority leader to be recognized, Mr. President. To both gentlemen who are proposing these amendments, when you say 250, 150 in the first year, whatever, 250,000, do you mean only those earning below 250,000? Or we mean anybody who earns, basta in the first 250,000 niya is not taxable?
It is the latter, Mr. President.
It is the latter. Therefore, for the record, what we are enforcing here would be anybody earning 250,000, the first 250,000 is tax exempt.
That's correct, Mr. President.
All right. May I recognize the
Minority
minority
Leader,
leader, Mr. President?
Just on a procedural matter, Mr. President. My understanding is that the chairman, the sponsor, is presenting this as an amendment. And Senator Recto has his own amendment, which differs from the amendment proposed by the chair of the Ways and Means. If we approve this amendment proposed by the chair of the committee, and later on, Senator Recto presents his own amendment, are we reconsidering the approval of the amendment presented by the committee chair?
In effect,
I
yes,
think that procedure is a little bit confusing, Mr.
I agree it's confusing, Mr. President, but we can follow the saying that only fools do not change their minds. So we can change our mind later. It has happened before, Mr. President.
Yeah, but
It's actually a concession to the sponsor that we are treating his proposed amendments as if they were committee amendments.
And therefore,
And we are only doing it in the period of individual amendments because this is a substitute bill. But the logic in conceding this, making this concession to the sponsor is that he has gone over all our proposed amendments. Hence, if we give him the first crack in amending the law, we might be able to save time because those who have submitted proposed amendments will see that some of their proposals have been accommodated by the sponsor. That is the idea. So we are giving this concession to the sponsor.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
isn't it a better process, and this is in accordance with parliamentary practice? The chair of the Committee on Ways and Means presents his individual amendment. Senator Recto, who has an amendment on the same section, will now present to the floor an amendment to the Angara amendment. If Angara accepts that, then we vote on the Angara amendment as amended by Senator Recto. And if Senator Angara does not accept the amendment of Senator Recto, then we vote on that, the rest of the amendment. I think that's a better procedure so that at the end of this session, we will have something definite on how the provision will look like. And that is a proper procedure that we should follow, less confusing.
Majority
Mr. President,
Majority Leader.
I will concur as long as we continue with Senator Angara amending all the provisions and all the pages he would want to amend. No?
Yes, we will continue with that. Senator Angara has the floor, but we should, for an orderly debate and consistent with the procedure, in this particular case, if there is another member of the chamber who has an amendment, then it is presented as an amendment to the amendment of Senator Angara. And then we vote on that.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, it can apply also to any objection.
Yes, yes,
So-
yes, sir.
With the understanding that the senator proposing the amendment to the amendment, if it is lost, he will not revive it anymore during his during the section by section segment. Yes.
Of course, Mr.
Okay,
President,
that's-
we will
that's
not
the-
entertain such.
If Senator Recto will agree.
yes. You know, procedurally, I think the minority leader is correct. But you know, there are other questions that are raised. For example, if the senator is already in Section 5, chairman of the committee, and I do have amendments, let's say in Section 2, anterior amendment, I can do that later on.
Later on, yes. Yes. Yes, Mr.
But
President.
procedurally, having been here for almost 18 years, procedurally, it should be the case that if you have a prior amendment,
Anterior.
an anterior amendment, that should be followed. Now, that should be a faster process. But, you know, I do not wish to delay the proceeding. My problem is, assuming we adopt this procedure, and I am not objecting, then there is no debate. Meaning to say, every amendment of the chairman with the understand will be accepted, but at the proper time, we can amend it. I think that is what the Senate President is suggesting. Now, on the merits, one last point, Mr. President. On the merits of this amendment, my problem is not only is the tax exempt lower in the first year, But it will be hard to have an income tax schedule changing every year. It becomes complicated. And precisely the amendments that we are proposing is to simplify the tax code, not to make it complicated, so that the ordinary Juan de la Cruz understands the tax code or what he is obligated to pay. Now, kung every year pabago-bago tayo ng rates, it becomes complicated. That is my point, Mr. President, with regard to the merit of the proposal.
We have a 1-minute suspension, Mr. President.
Session suspended.
Halika, dito. Granted to resume, Mr. President.
Resume.
May we now hear the ruling of the chair on the proposals presented by the minority leader and
We will continue to allow the sponsor to introduce his individual amendments, and those with a different opinion on the matter or a clashing amendment should already stand up and
may
make his proposal as an amendment to the amendment so that the body can now settle the issue once and for all. And then in the afternoon session, when we will go section by section, all the untouched sections are still open for amendment. And even same sections which have been amended in the morning session can still be amended on a different matter.
all right.
So is that clear to all the members?
Yes, Mr. President.
Okay, so we can continue. And the
therefore,
status now
yes.
is,
Senator Recto is proposing an amendment to
The amendment, yes.
amendment of Senator.
so
Gat.
Senator Recto will have the floor to particularize his proposed amendment.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I know the difficulties of the chairman trying to marry all the proposals from all our colleagues and trying to work it out also with the Department of Finance. So I do not fault the chairman for this, Mr. President. It is a difficult job. Having said that, Mr. President, as I mentioned earlier, I would rather have a situation wherein the first 250,000 will be zero tax, Mr. President. Now, having said that, my proposed amendment is also found in the same section, and it is one schedule starting January 2018, and thereafter, this will be the schedule, Mr. President, so that you do not have multiple schedules every year, President, which will become a little more confusing. Now, my amendment is similar to that of the executive position. And therefore, on section Section 5, which is Section 24 of the NIRC as amended, is hereby further amended to read as follows. In the committee report, delete what the chairman wanted deleted, and in lieu thereof, tax schedule effective January 1, 2018, not over 250,000, zero. Over 250 but not over 400,000, 20% of the excess over 250,000. Over 400,000 but not over 800,000, 30,000 plus 25% of the excess over 400,000. Over 800,000 but not over 2 million, 130,000 plus 30% of the excess of over 800,000. Over 2 million but not over 5 million, 490,000 plus 32% of the excess over 2 million. Over 5 million, 1,450,000 plus 35% of the excess over 5 million. That is the amendment, without prejudice to amending other lines at the appropriate time, Mr. President.
A 1-minute suspension, Mr. President.
Session suspended.